It's still raining, so I still can't walk around in the parking lot. But we're going to have another little round of Would You Rather Hair Loss Edition. Here's what you could choose this time. As always, you could have a perfect full head of hair for the rest of your life. But here's the trade-off. The trade-off is that you will not be a confident person. You will have the perfect head of hair you've always wanted, and you'll never have to worry about losing that. Yet still, you will not be a confident person. So what that would mean, when it comes to girls, you would not be sure of yourself and how to talk to them. In everything you do, you would have a low self-esteem. So whether it's school or work or your job, speaking, any of your abilities, in general, you would have a low self-esteem, despite the irony of having a perfect head of hair. Of course, this is why I'm making this video. If we're being honest with each other, we can admit that, yeah, having a perfect head of hair would help things, but it won't make things perfect. So in this scenario, you have that one thing that you're obsessing over, and that's having that perfect head of hair. But aside from that, you still would have self-esteem issues and confidence issues. So what's interesting about this scenario is if you choose the perfect head of hair, but to not be confident, then you would have to find your own way to become confident, even though you've got the head of hair. How would you do that? Because see, this scenario is different from the others. There was one where you have a perfect head of hair, but you'll be attracted to men. Another that you'd have a big nose. Another that you could only make minimum wage for life. This one's a little bit different because you can actually change it. How would you change it? Remember, you'd have a perfect head of hair. And no, you can't say, well, Nick, if I had a perfect head of hair, I'd be confident. I wouldn't have self-esteem issues. No. In this scenario, despite having a perfect head of hair, you have a low self-esteem. You're unsure of yourself. You don't have skills when it comes to girls because you're not sure of yourself. You don't believe in yourself. And I know this is maybe the most challenging entry in this series because for some of you, hair loss is so ingrained in what it takes to be a confident person to begin with. And you think if only I had hair, then I wouldn't have self-esteem issues. But can you imagine that we have a world full of people, world full of men that actually have a full head of hair? And while hair is not their issue that keeps them from having low self-esteem, they've got other issues. I'm throwing you into that scenario. Can you be creative enough to imagine what it would be like to have a perfect head of hair, but to still have a low self-esteem? Can you be creative to imagine that? If you say yes to this offer, then what I want you to tell me is, how would you overcome your self-esteem issues despite still having the full head of hair? So again, if you take my deal on this, perfect head of hair for life, but you have a very low self-esteem. This is something you can overcome. How do you overcome it? And ultimately, the twist in this is if I can get you to admit that you could overcome your self-esteem and you can tell me how, I wonder if that would translate to the real world where you actually still have those hair loss issues. I'm very curious what you have to say. Thank you for participating. Comment goes right here.